So, Chad, this is something I'm a little bit late to, but I wanted to talk about it anyway. It's another topic I meant to talk about with you guys on Friday, but I didn't get to stream on Friday, so now we're going to talk about it now. Apparently, there's a bit of an uproar in regards to some things that Donald Trump has been reposting or retruthing on Truth Social. And I can definitely understand why people will take issue with some of this stuff. So we're going to take a look at this CNN video that says Trump shares vulgar posts about Harris and Clinton. His ex-advisor has advice for him. So let's go ahead and let's dive into this.
The former president of the United States, who wants to be the next president, is now directly spreading the slogans of the conspiracy cult QAnon, as well as posting a crude, sexist, and misogynist.
Oh wait, he was posting QAnon stuff too? I know about the sexist remark that he reposted about Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris. I was not aware of him reposting QAnon stuff too. Oh boy.
Misogynistic slur online, reposting to be precise, which means he didn't come up with it himself, but liked it so much that he wanted the rest of the world to see it, which is both a gentle introduction and a warning. One posting of several uses two QAnon catchphrases: "Nothing can stop what is coming," which refers to the so-called mass arrests of so-called deep state members, which in the warped world of QAnon is basically anyone who...
This is somebody who wants to run for office. He wants to be elected to the highest office in the nation. And he's literally sharing conspiracy theory posts. Yikes.
Irked Donald Trump. Another posting shows President and Hunter Biden, Nancy Pelosi, Hillary Clinton, Anthony Fauci, Bill Gates, and Vice President Harris in prison in orange jumpsuits. Dr. Fauci and Bill Gates presumably there for their advocacy of vaccination. Again.
Okay, so he's sharing anti-vax stuff too then. Oh God, chat, we need to work really hard to make sure that this unhinged individual doesn't get reelected. Okay, we already saw what 4 years in office for him looks like. We don't need that again. Okay, we need to work very hard to ensure that that doesn't happen again.
This is what the former president of the United States chose to rebroadcast.
Don't get me started on anti-vax shit again. Oh my God, I won't name drop anybody, but there are people in my personal life that are anti-vax, and anytime they speak about it, I just kind of but in my mind I'm just like, you sound fucking unhinged right now. You sound like Alex Jones tier right now. I just
to and amplify for his many followers. He did not look at this stuff, chuckle silently to himself, if that's what he would do, and move on. Instead, he wanted to give it the stamp of approval of the 45th and perhaps the 47th president of the United States. And then there is this, a photo of Kamala Harris. And
this is the one that I saw. This is the one that I saw.
Hillary Clinton. The caption, which I'm not going to read out, is demeaning of both women and contains a vulgar reference to oral sex acts.
Since he won't read it, I'll go ahead and read it. So this person is responding to a tweet on the official Democrats Twitter account, and it's posting a picture of Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton together. And this guy, Zeke Arkham, who I believe is a right-wing content creator, basically tweets in response to it, "Funny how blowjobs impacted both their careers differently." And I've seen a lot of insinuations of this, that Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton both got where they are now in terms of their political positions because they just basically gave themselves up sexually to other politicians, which is a very, very sexist and misogynistic thing to say on so many levels.
Now, remember, again, this is the Republican candidate for president and the 45th president of the United States, talking about two women who, no matter what you think of their politics, are two of the most accomplished women in American political history. This is what he chose to amplify, which, as extreme as it is not exactly out of character when it comes to him and women.
She was by far the nastiest to Joe Biden. There was nobody nastier than her.
She was extraordinarily nasty to Kavanaugh. She was nasty to a level that was just a horrible thing. She was probably nastier than even Pocahontas. by the racist.
What the fuck does that even mean? Like, how could I will never understand how people blindly follow this nut job and take him seriously. Everything that comes out of his mouth is the most unhinged dribble you will ever hear in your life.
Attorney General of New York State, Letitia Peekaboo James.
He has zero respect for any woman in a position of authority of any kind. Like, zero respect for women at all. I mean, to be, like, seriously, this was the guy that said he wants to grab women by the pussy, that he could just do it whenever he wants. So, should we really be surprised by any of these statements? Probably not.
Thank you, Maxine Waters.
Omarosa is obviously the ultimate villain and the nastiest. I think it's a very nasty question when you ask continue in a very hostile, nasty.
This is a guy that wished he could date his daughter. Yeah, didn't, like, wasn't there also an interviewer who asked, like, what they had in common, and he made this weird remark about them something sexual? Like, what was... Let me see if I could find that. That was, like, the most insane thing I had ever heard. Donald Trump, daughter, in common... sex. That's the weirdest, like, search entry I've ever put in my browser history, but I think I found it. Here we go.
No, not too much. First of all, I like her very much. I think she's a really nice woman. I thought it was a little unusual to have politics mixed with the movies, and it's been done before, I guess, a little bit, but it was a little bit unusual to see that.
Yeah.
But I do like her. I think she's terrific.
We want to know a little bit more about you guys, so we play this game here. It's called Fave 5. I'll ask the question. Ivanka, you answer first, and then Dad, you answer also.
This is tough.
Okay, Ivanka, what's the favorite thing you have in common with your father?
Either real estate or golf.
Donald, with your daughter?
Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that.
Okay, let's.
What's the favorite thing you have in common with your father?
Either real estate or golf.
Donald, with your daughter?
Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that.
I don't think I need to provide any commentary there. The clip pretty much, it speaks for itself.
What a stupid question. But I watch you a lot. You ask a lot of stupid questions.
Just moments ago, a Harris campaign spokesman put out a statement quoting him now. Donald Trump is out of his mind. If a family member posted what Donald Trump is sharing today, Americans would rightly be concerned. But this is what Donald Trump and his Project 2025 agenda offer America: prosecuting political opponents, using dangerous conspiracy theories to justify harmful policies, and dividing Americans against each other. I want to get perspective now from two CNN political commentators on the right and left, respectively, David Urban and Ashley Allison, also CNN Newsnight anchor Abby Phillip.
Okay, I'm not going to listen to this part. If you guys want to hear this part, I'll go ahead and I'll post the link in chat where you guys can check it out in your free time. But apparently, J.D. Vance actually did make an attempt to defend what Trump was posting. So I guess let's listen to what this moron has to say.
Vice President Harris, in her interview with CNN last night, said she would put a Republican in the cabinet. Do you and Donald Trump commit to putting a Democrat in the cabinet if you're elected?
What is up with YouTube tonight? It keeps buffering like that. Holy shit.
Yeah, of course, John. And we've got Democrats who are actively on the team. Tulsi Gabbard, who ran against Kamala Harris in the 2020 Democrat primary, RFK Jr. These guys have all come on board the Donald Trump ticket. And why have they done that, John? Because our party is the party of common sense. We don't agree on everything. We may disagree about tax policy or environmental policy, but we think we should have a closed.
J.D. Vance also said that people who don't have children shouldn't be teachers or have equal votes. That's fucking insane.
Order. We think American families should be able to afford housing and food, and we want calm and peace.
I feel like J.D. Vance is one of those people that think that, like, women's only, like, purpose in life is to just reproduce. Like, I really truly feel like that's his view on womanhood, is like your only goal in life as a woman should be to reproduce.
all over the world, not the world in constant conflict that Kamala Harris has delivered. So we've got a great big ticket with Democrats, Republicans, and independents on the Donald Trump team, and we're going to keep on running that way, and then we're going to govern that way when we win.
You cited Robert Kennedy Jr. What role could you see him playing in a Trump administration? What cabinet position?
Well, I don't want to commit Bobby to anything, but look, he's a very, very smart guy. He's got a lot of interesting ideas.
Robert Kennedy Jr. You know who just put out a really good documentary on Robert Kennedy Jr. is what's that YouTuber's name? I'm having a brain fart at the moment. I watched it last night. Let me see. Is it in my watch history still? Such a good documentary, and I highly recommend watching it if you haven't watched it already. It was somebody in chat will probably get it before I do. Jay Aubrey. Jay Aubrey did an amazing video essay on RFK Jr. Highly recommend checking it out. That guy is a nut job on so many levels.
About why do we have an obesity epidemic in our country? What is going on with our food system? How can we better ensure that Americans are living healthy lives? So I hope that Bobby plays some role in answering some of the big questions, and we'll see what that looks like. Of course, he's joined the transition team where I serve as the honorary chair. We're going to work with everybody. Again, we don't have to agree on every issue, John, but what I love about President Trump's campaign is that we're talking to everybody, we're going everywhere, and we're trying to persuade the American people that we can win with this big tent party and we can govern effectively.
Would you trust Robert Kennedy on issues around vaccines? Could you see him involved with health policy that way?
Well, look, again, John,
I would hope not, considering like how much this guy has pushed like anti-vax agendas and whatnot. Like that's the last place that he belongs.
I don't agree with Robert Kennedy. I don't agree with Bobby on everything. I've gotten to know him. I think he's a very smart guy, but
he's so dangerous. Didn't he like actually contribute to like an epidemic in, what was it, Samoa? I know that the documentary that I just referenced, the video essay by Jay Aubrey, actually covers this. Let me make sure that I'm getting that right. I don't want to spread lefty misinfo to you guys, but let me pull up the video real quick. I'm not gonna watch it, but there's a timeline here. Where is it? Yeah, Samoa. There was an outbreak of, I think it was like measles, if I remember correctly, and like a lot of people were refusing to give their kids measles vaccines because of misinfo that was spread by Robert Kennedy Jr.
Again, while I might not agree with him on everything about vaccines, I do agree with him that something is clearly messed up about our food system because we have a terrible obesity problem. And I certainly agree with him back in 2020 that we should not be masking toddlers and keeping young children out of schools. He was right about that, while a lot of public health experts were.
Oh my God. It's just a mask. I never understood like the outrage by conservatives over wearing a mask. It's just a fucking mask. Like, what's the big deal?
And this is my point, John, is you don't
like, of all the things that occurred during the pandemic that you could genuinely be upset about, why the masks? It's so silly.
To agree with everybody, but when you're willing to listen to big voices and you're not trying to censor people, but you're trying to have a debate with people, I think it surfaces the best policy and allows the best ideas to rise to the top.
So Vice President Harris in the interview last night says she'd like to see a culture shift, not based on you beating people down, a politics where you beat people down, but a politics where you lift people up. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about the idea of lifting people up in politics?
Look, I think it's a great idea, John. The problem is that Kamala Harris hasn't governed like that during her 3.5 years as vice president. If she wants to tackle the affordability crisis, if she wants to lift people up and inspire this country, why hasn't she done it for the last 3.5 years? I think most Americans think that we're on the wrong track. I think what Donald Trump really believes is the way to lift people up is to open the country to all voices, to not try to censor people that you disagree with, to have a conversation with somebody rather than try to shut them up. We have to remember, back in 2019, Kamala Harris wanted to kick Donald Trump off of all social media. We believe in debating and having a conversation with our fellow Americans, agree or disagree. That's how you lift this country up, not by shutting people down, making life unaffordable for their families.
You were talking about Donald Trump's social media. Would you describe his posts over the last 48 hours as lifting people up, quoting, reposting QAnon
Here we go.
statements, reposting these misogynistic memes about Vice President Harris and Hillary Clinton. That's the kind of open discussion that you think is lifting people up?
Oh, John, I think if you look at Donald Trump's full campaign appearances and, yes, his social media appearances, what you see is two things. A guy with an agenda to lower prices and bring back American prosperity, and a political candidate who isn't stodgy, who likes to have some fun and likes to tell some jokes. I'd much rather have a candidate who's willing to go off script, who's willing to give every interview, and is willing to tell some jokes. I do think that's how you lift people up. A politics of boring scolds telling people they can't laugh, that is not lifting Americans up. That's how to tear us down.
All right.
I'm sorry, but like saying that like women in politics only got their position because of blowjobs.
921 cheered X 245 bits.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Is in denial. He's coping.
Yeah, pretty much. But I'm sorry, but like reposting memes about how like a female politician or female politicians can only get their position because of blowjobs. Like, I'm sorry, like I don't see the uplifting nature or humor in that. I think there's a lot of ways that you can poke fun at your opponent that are more productive than that. I don't think that that's the way. Okay, that just makes you look like a piece of shit. And to say that like he thinks that like, oh, you know, when I look at Donald Trump's social media, I see somebody who's trying to, you know, uplift our nation and move it in like a positive direction and stuff. Like, I see someone who looks absolutely fucking unhinged. That's what I see when I look at Donald Trump's social media. But okay, whatever you say, JD.
Right, fun and jokes. Last night, after CNN released a small clip of the Harris interview, you on Twitter posted a clip from a Miss Teen USA beauty pageant from 2007.
Oh God, I remember this.
Upton, and you wrote, "I have gotten a hold of the full Kamala Harris CNN interview." Now, this thing that surfaced around the internet for a few years, she had, you know, she struggled answering a question back in this beauty pageant. I'm not sure you're aware, in 2015, Caitlin Upton did an interview with New York Magazine about all the social media attention this clip got, and she said, "I definitely went through a period where I was very, very depressed, but I never let anybody see that stuff except for people I could trust. I had some very dark moments where I thought about committing suicide." So when you posted this last night, were you aware that the woman you were posting a picture of had contemplated committing suicide for the attention it received?
I don't think he would care. If I'm being completely honest, I don't think he would give a shit.
No, certainly not, John, and my heart goes out to her, and I hope that she's doing well. Look, I've said a lot of things on camera. I've said a lot of stupid things on camera. Sometimes when you're in the public eye, you make mistakes, and again, I think the best way to deal with it is to laugh at ourselves, laugh at this stuff, and try to have some fun.
Yeah, let's laugh at the girl who contemplated suicide because she was harassed for that clip. Yeah, that makes sense.
I posted a meme from 20 years ago, and I think the fact that we're talking about that instead of the fact that American families can't afford groceries or health care, young families can't afford to buy a home to raise
He tried to go like full Jedi mind trick on that shit. He's like, do not focus on the tasteless meme that I just shared about the girl who contemplated suicide because she was harassed because of this meme. Do not focus on that. Let me hand wave that away. Literally, like, holy shit. That, yeah, exactly. Miss Jennerlin, that was so Weasley. Do I have the soundbite here? I'm still getting used to the new layout of my soundboard.
What a fucking Weasley little liar, dude.
That was so Weasley.
Their families in. Those are the real crises that we should focus on, and there's nothing that says that we can't tell some jokes along the way while we deal with the very serious business of bringing back our public policy. Politics has gotten way too lame, John, way too boring. You can have some fun while making a good argument to the American people about how you're going to improve their lives.
Okay, I just want to be clear, though. You said you didn't know. Would you like to apologize to Caitlin Upton for posting that last night, given what you've now learned?
John, I'm not going to apologize for posting a joke. But
See, I told you, he doesn't give a shit. He literally doesn't give a shit. And as several people in the chat have said, he's coping.
You are coping.
I called it. He doesn't give a shit.
You just can't accept
He genuinely doesn't give a shit. That's so fucked up.
Coping and seething. The truth it is scalding.
Unbelievable.
Now you are molding and coping so hard.
I fucking hate everyone.
Wish the best for Caitlyn. I hope that she's doing well. And again, what I'd say is one bad moment shouldn't define anybody, and the best way to deal with this stuff is to laugh at ourselves.
Last night.
Okay, I think I've seen pretty much enough of that. If you guys want to see the rest of it, I'll link it in the chat. But yeah, it's very interesting to see somebody, you know, in the case of like Donald Trump and, you know, JD Vance here as well, people who are running for two of the most important positions in public office here in the United States, sharing really tasteless memes like that, literally insinuating that the only way a woman in politics could ever gain that position is by going around and performing sexual favors for men in politics. I think it's very disgusting. I think it's very gross. And I don't think it is something that someone running for presidents of the United States and vice president, I don't think that's something that those types of people should be sharing. But hey, you know what? Maybe I'm a little old-fashioned.